What's up, everybody? I'm Metal Nick.
I'm Jeff Grindstoffer.
And welcome to episode number 62 of Vinyl Bang. Today's special guest, you may know as the drummer for the band Yatsu. He is a good personal wrestling buddy of mine that we talk a lot of shit about AEW, WWE, but most importantly, for many years, we've known each other on the internet as he's Mr. Keepitwolfson, but most of you know him as Josh Huddleston. Welcome to the show today, buddy.
All right, Josh Huddleston. Woo. Josh is one of my favorite people to run into, like whenever I go to out of state gigs. Like we were both at the Dillinger shows in New York, the final Dillinger shows. Just kind of bumped into you, like, oh my God, Josh! It's fun. It's always a pleasure, Josh. Always a pleasure.
It's an interesting combination just with all three of us because we all know each other separately from the internet for 15 years now, and it's all just kind of culminated with us meeting each other in different places in different parts of the country, and then having separate interests outside of our hardcore metal bullshit, whether it be vinyl or wrestling or whatever. So
sure.
I also met Josh at the final Dillinger Escape Plan show, so that was full circle there. Yeah, but
deep, right?
Yeah, all right. But today we're here to talk vinyl. Josh brought some of his records to the show, and we are ready to get down and see what Josh has got to talk about. So, Josh, go ahead, man. Let's kick it off.
All right. The very first thing I wanted to do, because I was watching some of the older episodes just to get ready for this, I have a vinyl I want to show off and also talk a little shit about a former guest of you guys that you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is a Kill the Client. Sorry. Thousands Will Die split that I've had for, I don't even know how long I've had this. I got this at a used record store. There's a place called Half Price Books in the Texas area that sells used books, and they sell used records. And for some reason, people are always offloading their old metal and grind shit in there. And I love that I can find stuff, especially when I can find stuff like this, because you guys know Kill the Client and Mr. Morgan from Triage. We have, I don't want to say a father-son relationship because actually that's a little more tumultuous. So yeah, it's a father-son relationship. So I just wanted to show this off first and say I noticed that his YouTube had, or his episode had 301 views in the past 6 months. So this needs to get 302 because I need to beat him. That's all it's about. Just showing that I'm better than Chan Morgan.
Take him down a peg for sure.
Yes, that's what I've been doing for years.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah. But on the real thing, the first thing I wanted to show, and I wasn't even going to bring up this band or this record at all, but literally as I was coming to set everything up, I saw on Instagram that they teased that they had a new song that's coming out, and I'm very excited about this. Like my whole mood has lifted because Minus the Bear is going to be releasing new music and is getting back together. I need to change this angle. But yeah, this is the first Minus the Bear record. This is a great band. I don't know if you guys know them. It's kind of like a post-hardcore math rock adjacent band. It's the former guitar player of Botch's band. It's what he did after Botch. And they just, as far as like guitar playing and some cool rhythms and tapping like on guitar and just different guitar effects, I don't know if there's a better band that's making cooler shit that's actually doing songwriting. And this is their very first record. It's the first pressing. It's still got the thing on there. Got it from Waterloo Records in Austin for $19.99, probably like 20 years ago, maybe. I don't even know. But
nice.
Yeah, great record. I highly suggest it to everybody. And the new record comes out.
No, I'm familiar with them, but they did kind of break up a couple years ago or stop playing or something?
Yeah, they broke up. They're doing, I guess, what all old bands are doing now, where it's like, hey, there's a lot of money on the table that we got to get to. So this is one that I'm excited about. You know, I thought they had more to give because I thought they were actually getting better as they got older and made more albums. I thought they were doing more interesting things, whereas some other bands don't always do that. So Very excited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've dabbled in them here and there, like several years ago. It was probably 15, or it was probably around the time that they were doing their last tour or whatever. A buddy of mine from St. Louis that was in a band called Ordained Genocide was a huge fan of Minus the Bear, and they were playing in Columbia, which is 20 minutes from my house. And he's like, "I'm going to the show. You want to go with me?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not? You know, if you're coming up, I'll take the trip with you." And they were good. They were really good. And I kind of, I started listening to them after that show, then just kind of dissipated. But that's awesome that they're making new music too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of like, given that one of the dudes used to be in Botch, I feel like they're a lot of metalheads' secret pleasure, or at least that type of like weirdo metalcore, like the Dillinger stuff kind of guys,
Sure,
like secret
sure.
pleasure. I actually do have a funny story about them. One time I was at South by Southwest, and if you don't have a badge and you just like go to shows, you can get in for free, but you have to wait in line for a really long time. I was waiting in line. The club was capacity, and so I couldn't get in. They were waiting for people to leave, and Hannibal Buress, of all people, fucking cut the line in front of me and was allowed into the concert and made it to where I couldn't get in for like another 30 minutes because he wanted to see Minus the Bear. So, I don't know if he's drunk and wanted to go in there or if he's a Minus the Bear fan, but fucking hot
That
scoop.
guy.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Let's see. I think I have something else. I'm gonna do a little bit of self promotion here. It's the new new Yatsu record. This is our first full length. We put it out last year. We actually have a new split with a band called Wanderer coming out, but there's a little bit of a backup at the pressing plant, so those aren't here yet. But in the meantime, you should check out this record, Yatsu. I know both of you guys have heard it and enjoy it. Our artwork was done by Ethan from Primitive Man. There's a noise track on here which is done from Ben Chisholm from Chelsea Wolf, and then the guy who recorded some of the Chat Pile records and stuff. If you've never heard of us before, it's kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it, which sounds kind of full of yourself, but everyone who hears it hears something a little bit different. It's definitely like grind with like I would say it's grind, but it's heavily influenced by weirdo like mid 2000s, early 2000s hardcore like metalcore bands such as Coalesque, Burnt by the Sun, Dead Guy, stuff like that. So if you took all that and kind of push it through a grind blender, I'd say that's kind of what Yatsu is.
That is a fair description. Yeah, I just, the first time I heard it, I got like 3 songs in, and I'm like, fucking God, this is so angry. Like, this is so good. Like, I love it. I love it. And for those of you at home who haven't heard it yet, after we've talked about it 4 or 5 times throughout the last year, quit fucking around. Listen to Yatsu.
Yeah.
I also,
those are good.
I pre-ordered that 7-inch a couple months ago, so yeah, I assume there's probably some delay or something, but all good. I'm a patient man.
Yeah, but that's how vinyl kind of is right now, and unfortunately, like, it's something that I feel like has honestly hindered my own purchasing as far as like pre-ordering, because like you never know when stuff's gonna come out anymore, and it just takes forever.
Right.
So, but I feel like we all have probably had that experience where we get a thing in the mail and then we're like, what is this? It's a record, and I clearly order records, but like I have no idea what this is. And then you have that moment of excitement when you open it up.
Like, oh, I forgot I got this.
Yeah. And that's actually a great segue to the last record that I bought, because this happened to me a couple of weeks ago. And I didn't even know. I totally forgot I had bought it. Nick, you may have got it as well, because I think you might have been a fan of this band when they were around in the early 2000s. Shit, where did it go? Too many records. It's The Bled, Past the Flask. I haven't even opened it yet. That's how recently I got it in the mail. I don't even know when I ordered this. I forgot I even ordered it. So, but it's a really good record. If you like early 2000s, like kind of spazzy hardcore.
Yeah.
They got popular a little bit. They're really good though, in my opinion. I think they're doing a little, again, all the bands are doing a comeback thing right now, so I think they're doing it too.
So my story with them was a few days before I was at a show at the Audubon. I think I saw Converge. And I was walking outside and I saw Greg Pucciato, and we were talking for a while. And this was like early before like Dillinger. This was like, I guess this machine was out. It might have been out at this point. Anyways, we were talking and he was asking me if I was going to go to see Give Up the Ghost because they were playing a few days later with The Bled and Daughters. Never heard of either of those two bands. I ended up buying that Past the Flask, and the first track was Earnhardt's Seatbelt. It was literally called that. Never heard Daughters before. They blew me the fuck away that night. That was cool as shit, but all those CDs got stolen from my car. But The Bled was awesome. They won me over with their performance. Great band. I have seen that vinyl repressed a couple times, and I do know that they've changed that first track to You Know Who Seatbelt.
Nah, dog. Check it out if you could read it here. Dale Earnhardt Seatbelt. Right there. They went with it.
Nice.
Yeah. Because they did it for a long time. For a long time it was You Know Who Seatbelt. But I think we're far enough away from that where You Know Who Seatbelt, people would be like, I have no fucking clue. Like probably people are now like, who the fuck is Dale Earnhardt, honestly. So
Yeah. It's been 23.8 years. It's funny now. We can talk about it now.
Yeah. But dude, what year was that? What that show that you're talking about?
Oof. I want to say 2003. So yeah, I guess Miss Machine wasn't out yet.
That should have my name all over it though. I love all those bands.
Because I know maybe like a few months before we'd see Dillinger and Norma Jean at the Auto Bar. So yeah, it was 03. It was 03. That was a great show. It was like I remember Give Up the Ghost, and who else played that show? The Hope Conspiracy. No. Yeah, the Hope Conspiracy. And that the singer of that band sings for All Pigs Must Die.
Correct.
And it was a great lineup. Yeah. Saw it at the Auto Bar. Back when Auto Bar had some really solid hardcore shows like that.
Is that place still open?
It is, but like somebody got injured there years ago, so they don't do like they do shows, but like you cannot stage dive. If you stage dive, they will throw you the fuck out.
Oh man.
So, yeah, somebody jumped off the balcony and like landed on this girl's neck and paralyzed her and like broke her neck and everything. She didn't paralyze; she broke her neck, and the Auto Bar was going to do this like benefit show for her, and like all these people like donated like memorabilia, and then like a week before the show, a lawyer got in her ear and she sued.
Oh damn.
So, yeah.
That happens sometimes, you know what I mean? I've definitely had some injuries from people jumping on me. One time I broke my nose jumping off a balcony with Greg Pucciato at a Dillinger show. He was like on a balcony and he was like, who the fuck's gonna jump with me, you fucking pussies, blah, 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 blah. And my drunk ass was like, fuck it, I'll do it with you, Greg. And like, when I landed, I hit my head on someone else's head and bridged my nose. So,
wow.
I think I got a concussion too, but you know, life is life. Speaking of Baltimore, actually, one thing I want to say about that, the Auto Bar, you mentioned the Norma Jean and Dillinger show. I'm pretty sure, Nick, that's how I heard of you, as like just a person or like a thing that exists, right? Was I probably there was some website called like fearsomething.com where you could download like hardcore videos.
Yeah. Fear.com. It's oh man, I'm blank. I was just talking about this dude the other day with Shaw. But yes, fear.com was a website. If you go on YouTube, there's like Locust, 18 Visions, Avenged Sevenfold. All these bands played the Auto Bar at one point, and oh, I'm so sorry, I can't remember his name. But he would post up Pablo. Pablo would post up in the balcony, and he had the best shot. He had a great camera with a good mic on it. Got a lot of good gigs. But he has Dillinger's very first show with Greg in Baltimore at a place called Fletcher's.
Yeah,
but
I think that's how I initially remember seeing some of your videos were either posted there or like you had reposted them or something.
I think it was metal. It might have been the Metal Injection days because like I definitely they really were posting my stuff a lot when I started working for them. So and you and I definitely chatted a lot in their message board.
Yeah, that's how all three of us actually had our first interactions.
Yeah.
I got a band here. I don't know if you guys like Turnstile, but this is the first Turnstile 7-inch. I love this band. I think they're great. I think they write cool songs. If you're into songwriting in your hardcore, I know not everyone is, but I think they're really cool. And I think this might have been the intro to this record. 7 is like, dude, the guitar riffs on that are like so hard. It's just a clear 7-inch, nothing like super special. I don't think any of the ones that I've shown are like anything super rare or anything special so far, but I highly suggest checking this out, especially if you were like into 90s rock, because the funniest thing about this is if you were like to take a Incubus Make Yourself record and put it on your turntable and put it at the wrong RPM, the one that's too fast, because I don't know if it's 35 or 44 or whatever it is, it sounds just like Turnstile, like dead ass. It is like, it is 100% Turnstile. Like, go listen to the first song. I think it's Privilege on Make Yourself. Go listen to it, or get on YouTube even and turn it up to 1.25 speed, and it's a fucking Turnstile riff. So check it out.
Nice.
Yeah, there's
I'm not familiar with Turnstile, but I love Incubus and I love Make Yourself, so I'm gonna check it out.
I actually think, even though I know you're not the biggest hardcore fan, Jeff, I think you might enjoy this band because a long time people would joke about them as them being kind of like Incubus or 311 if they were a hardcore band. And there is that element of like some bouncy riffs and some of the way they write some of the stuff and some vocal melodies. But I got into it.
Now that you say that, yeah, very more 311-ish than Incubus, but some maybe like later Incubus. I haven't listened to them since after Make Yourself, but I am very familiar with that band. Yes, they are from Baltimore. I've yet to see them because every time they would play a show, it would sell out instantly. My cousin Sean is a huge fan of them. He took his pregnant wife to go see them in a small like warehouse in DC. I know. I was like, you better keep her in the back, dude. Somebody's gonna bounce off her pregnant stomach or something. But they made it out alive, and so did the baby. They're on like Roadrunner now, I believe, and they've been in like Taco Bell commercials. They are fucking huge.
Dude, they were like one of the songs that like NXT was using on their little like PLEs for a little bit. Yeah, they're fucking huge, dude. It's crazy. And it was one of those things. They were the first band that I saw post-pandemic, and I saw them at this club called the Mohawk in Austin, Texas, which is one of the best venues. Yeah, and ironically enough, that's where I broke my nose at the Dillinger show. And on the other end of it, I see you're wearing a Rotten Sound shirt. I broke my nose in the same venue at a Rotten Sound show. Literally, one was a Saturday, and then the next Saturday, I broke my nose at the Rotten Sound show again, like rebroke. Yeah, you guys know me. I used to have a lot of fun when I was a kid.
Sure.
You
can't take this guy anywhere. You can't take him anywhere.
I like the stage dive, or I used to. Yeah. I don't do it as much anymore. It's dangerous.
You're the Mick Foley of hardcore shows.
Thank you. Oh, another thing. I don't know if you noticed that in the background there, Nick. I got a Penta mask.
I see it. Yeah,
it's not the WWE one. It's one that I bought from a mask maker because like we have lucha shows here in Texas, and it was at a show Pinto was at. I was gonna buy his, but he was charging way too much for it. But I'm gonna buy Ultimo Dragon's mask in a couple of weeks. That's my
nice.
Yeah. Very excited about it. Okay, I'm gonna put over some local bands that I like a lot in my area that are really cool that you guys may have never heard of. Hey, chill, buddy. We're all good here. Thank you. There's a local band in my area called Dezora. They are Dezora here. Let me see if it's anything special. I'm sure these are limited pressing because that's just black. Because it's a local situation. But you can follow them on Dezora Bandcamp or on Spotify. It's Dezorah. They are a kind of like a Latin influenced band. If you were to think of like I don't want to say Circa Survive or like make the cheap Martin Zolta comparison because they actually do have some like they do like some delayed kind of like post-hard riffs like Circa Survive would, but they also have some like heavier sections where they do some very cool rhythmic stuff. And then obviously because they're Latin influenced, they have some really cool drumming. But they're good friends of mine in the music scene anyway, and their singer they have a female singer. She is a superstar. She's a phenomenal singer. If you see them live, they're like absolutely amazing. So if you like anything that's kind of like in the vein of Circa Survive, that era of post-hardcore, Mars Volta, a band called Zeta, which I'll probably show next. It's great stuff. Like I can't recommend this record enough. It's called Crendo Azul. So check them out on Spotify or Bandcamp. Dezora, fantastic stuff.
Right on.
You'll probably end up seeing their name in the future because like they're a band that I feel like if they just like stay locked in, they'll get noticed for sure. They're just too good.
Nice.
Dezora.
And I will use that for a segue to the next band that I just said, Zeta, which is how I met Dezora. This band, Zeta. This is a re-release of their, I believe it was a 2018 record. This is what they put out in 2024. They re-recorded it and added some more sections to it. They're a band from Venezuela. They also Latin influenced. I would say the cheap comparison would be like Fall of Troy mixed with the Mars Volta, but especially on this record. On their earlier records, they did a lot more like post-rock kind of stuff. It was still like screamo adjacent, but there was a lot more delayed section. On this record, they really get into the Latin influence of all the kind of stuff that they do. And they're from Venezuela. They came over here to the U.S. on a tour, and then some stuff happened in their country, and they more or less ended up applying for visas or extended visas for trying to stay. And just toured day after day after day. I think when I first met them, they were on like day 320 of their tour. So you guys can imagine how brutal that is on some people. But they're great guys. They make great music. This is just a black copy, but they are. I got it at their show recently. But I couldn't suggest this enough, especially with some of the, given that they are immigrants and there are protective statuses, and they're a great band that could use some money and could use all the popularity. They're about to go on tour with a band called the RX Band. It's kind of like a former popular ska band, but good stuff. You guys should really check it out. I think you might be able to get into some of the drumming and stuff on it, Nick. It's really cool.
Nice.
They have a cool audio tree.
Oh yeah, Zeta.
Yeah, Zeta.
Okay.
And I am trying to highlight a little bit of different stuff than like just straight up metal, because I know that's like, we all have that in common, and there's a big audience for that.
Sure.
And I'll use that. This is really easy because you can just use segues, right? On that segment, another friend of mine, I'm wearing a shirt right now. Combat. It's Combat with a K. They're really, really good. I don't have one of their records because, again, pressing times, you order stuff and then it doesn't come when it's supposed to, but it's never the band's fault, so don't ever blame the band. And so I'm still waiting on that. But in the meantime, I have a record adjacent to him. But yeah, you should listen to him because Nick and Christopher, you will both love them. They're great. Like they're a death metal band, clearly by the logo. But as of right now, they're not really doing anything, but their guitar player and their bass player are currently in the band 200 Stab Wounds.
Okay.
So this is the first 200 Stab Wounds record. They're not on this one. They're on the new stuff. But this is also a great record, personally. Even if my friends weren't currently in this, because I had this before they were in it. I think this is a limited one, but I'm sure you guys love this band, right? Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
You like
Yes.
this band? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like as far as like a combination of death metal and hardcore, Like this is like modern Dying Fetus to me. Like I think this band fucking rocks. Like they're so cool. I sound like such a fucking nerd.
No, I saw them a couple years ago at it was after the Red Chord reunited and did Clients at the Decibel Metal Beer and Metal Fest. After then, Cannibal Corpse played, and then you go next door and there's a bowling alley, and 200 Stab Wounds played at like 2 in the morning. It was fucking awesome. They were great live. I was like, holy shit! Like I was just the vibes in that room were awesome that night, and then they really knew how to fucking end the show for everybody, or that weekend at least.
Dude, I bet. I mean, I've seen them once, but that was before my friends were in there. But now that they are in there, they are coming to town. And oddly enough, they're playing the same night. There's a venue that's got like two, like one side of the venue is one, venue, and the other side is a bigger venue. On one side, it's Glassjaw, Better Lovers, and Poison the Well. And then on the other side, it's 200 Stab Wounds. So I'm very excited about this because this is right up my alley. And I'm so excited to see Poison the Well. Now that they're back. I didn't love the new song though, if I'm being honest with you. Have you listened to it, Nick?
No. I've been a big fan of much of their stuff after was it You Before Me was the last one I think I bought.
That You Come Before Me, you Come Before You is what it is.
Yeah,
You Come Before You.
Yeah, which I think is probably their best record.
Yeah. Well, I was opposite of December guy. I'm pretty hipster about that, but
I
was always more partial to Turf from the Red, so I guess we're covering
cool
the first three albums.
Yeah, those are the best ones. I mean, let's be
sure.
If I could access it quickly, I would go grab it out of my thing. But I bought a German pressing of You Come Before You before like years and years ago. Like it's like a bootleg, and they misprinted it, so like the E's missing, I think, from the word come. So that's a little weird, but don't you love when you have to buy, like, there's a record that you really, really want, and like the rights are nebulous because the label that originally owned the rights is fucking gone, and so the band doesn't own them anymore, and you wonder if you're ever going to get the record. It's kind of how I feel about Clients, since we were just talking about the Red Chord. I want that record so bad, even though it may be a faux pas to admit you like the Red Chord at this point, but they were a very influential band to me. Like very, very.
It is happening on vinyl. I know that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I see all these pictures with them and Brad lately. Like something's stirring. So
that's
good. They're going to announce it soon, I believe.
That's very good because I, I've been an online menace for many years. I used to tweet at Brad all the time and be like, bro, because you always be like, what band do you want to see release a vinyl? And I'd be like, fuck Clients, dude. Like, drop an actual hidden gem on the world. Like, you keep, like, how many times are you going to repress a Cannibal Corpse record, dude? Like, we all know it. We all have it. Like, release something that people don't have. And then he DM'd me and he said that it wasn't up to him, that there was somebody else holding it up. He didn't want to blame who it was, so I could, kind of read between the lines on that. So I'd be ecstatic to hear that. That's really cool. And on that note,
yeah,
also a highly important record to me, yes. Fused Together in Revolving Doors by the Red Chord. So glad this finally got fucking pressed, and I didn't have, because who was going to bootleg this, right? But Dreaming in Dog Years, Catalepsy, Nihilist, like a pigeon through a train wreck, certain special ugly. This record is like so important, at least to me, and I think it is in the pantheon of that style of like, hardcore, metalcore, deathcore, or whatever. And I've always wondered with a band like this, like why people because like everyone was ripping off people, but no one ever ripped off this band. And I was always like, why can't you guys rip off a cool band? Like why are you ripping off As I Lay Dying? Like why are you ripping off like Despised Icon? Like why can't you rip off this band? Like I've always felt the same way about Converge. Like like the blueprint for like this great band is right here. And I guess there are a million Converge clones, but like they all kind of suck. Like so. I don't know, man. I think this record's great. I don't know how. I'm assuming you feel the same way, Nick. Right? Like,
yeah, I love that band. They were a very unique band. They never wrote the same album twice. All their songs sounded so different from everybody else. Like they would do a lot of guest vocals, like Nate Johnson and Johnny Davey from Chopper Cowboy. They did a lot of good stuff for the Red Chord over the years. So like, I know that their goal is to release everything on vinyl, and at some point, like even Pray for Eyes, like that was such a good fucking record. I mean, even the last one, Fed Through the Teeth of the Machine, which was cool as shit. I put it on a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, I forgot how good this is. Oh shit.
Yeah, I kind of forget how good the latter two are, Pray for
Mm-hmm.
Eyes and Fed Through the Teeth Machine, because I'm always just going back to Fused Together and Revolving Doors and Clients. But man, like you said, they always sounded different than everybody else. They were always doing something cool, and I think more bands need to do that, right? Like you can pay homage to things that you like, and then add your own flavor to it. And I felt like that's what the Red Chord was always kind of doing. You may be able to answer this, Nick, because you know those guys personally. But as a listener, to me, it felt like they were a band that was like, I like this, but I don't like when bands do X, Y, and Z. So we're just not going to do that, and we're going to do what we here and add expand upon it. And I think that's a level of flavor and creativity that's like missing from a lot of modern bands. That it makes it, you end up missing how interesting and individualistic a band can sound. And I think that's a kind of missing in modern music, personally.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, we had Gunface on the show, and he had a very eclectic collection, right? There was a lot of
Yeah,
weird
it was
stuff.
fun. Mm-hmm.
Like he was, like I didn't expect any less. I knew he was a black metal fan. I've had conversations with him in the past, and it's like stuff that you would assume he would like. He's like, I don't like that shit. Like I like the real stuff. So like, but it doesn't play out in the Red Chord. They I don't know how they go about writing their stuff, but like I would just say this, like I don't think they're like huge fans of the bands that they toured with. Like they don't go
Oh,
home and like listen to like Suicide Silence all weekend and shit like that. They just like, I think
dude.
whatever it was, they Greg talked about it on our show. Like, what was it that they put on? There was something that they would get in the band and they'd all agree like, this is what we're listening to. I know it was like Mr. Bungle or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but like they just, it wasn't anything metal, and even Travis said that. I agree. If you're touring, playing metal for like all these hours a day. Why would you want to get in a van and listen to it? Listen
Oh,
to something totally different and just unwind.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, we played a show in Austin last night. We're based in Dallas, so that's like 3.5 hours, 4 depending on traffic, blah 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 blah. And I always ride with our when we go like short rides. I'm always kind of riding with. We have a explain something about that. We have a noise person, and it's not like a standard noise person that like has the pedals and like oscillate shit and makes feedback. They take a more of a creative role in our band. If you're familiar with different genres of music like reggae and dub, there's my cat in the background. They basically do what a dub artist does to reggae, where they like take the reggae and then they feed it through effects and then they kind of alter the way it sounds, or how like a chopped and screwed artist would sound as opposed to like the initial recording, like when DJ Screw redoes it and he slows it down and kind of adds some reverb to it and stuff like that. When we play, we have a noise person who's got all of our instruments mic'd up, and then he runs it through some different effects. He's got like a different soundboard and a couple different things. He's got a contact mic that he uses to like make noise with, and so he's constantly affecting our different inputs from our different instruments to create this like cacophony thing, and it creates this like very interesting layer underneath everything, compared to just hearing a riff in a guitar part or a riff in a drum part. So that's like, when it comes back to being individualistic and doing stuff differently. That's with the Red Chord. That's kind of an idea that my band takes, and that was one way we wanted to kind of change, because we were full of Hell fans. We like noise bands like Agoraphobic Nosebleed, Endless Blockade, Column of Heaven, all that type of shit. And we were kind of thinking, how can we incorporate noise into the actual song structures and make it part of the song rather than like an interlude or like the thing that people do. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys had ever kind of noticed that like underlying layer of. Well, you saw us live, Jeff.
Yeah.
So you saw the dude playing with fucking knobs and shit.
Mm-hmm. It definitely put a different perspective on it. I mean, aside from just hearing the vinyl or hearing it on Spotify or whatever, seeing it live was like, yeah, definitely cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chow. Hopefully he's listening.
What was the last band that all you guys? What was the last record that all you guys bought? Like that you bought. Let's do that one if you remember.
The last record that I bought was the Troglodyte record. I think. No, the Melvin's Napalm Death collaboration.
I don't remember what it was the last one I purchased last weekend when I was out. Or no, the other day I on Discogs I bought Chimera Pass Out of Existence.
Ooh, that's deep.
Yeah. This is the last one I bought, Josh. Melvin's Napalm Death.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's not a split. It's both bands playing together.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out then.
It's fucking rad. It's fucking rad.
That sounds really cool. Like,
yeah, hearing Barney screaming over Melvin's like, dude, that's fucking rad.
I'm really interested in that, especially to hear what they could do with some like if they got all like because you know how Napalm Death, or not Napalm Death, Melvin's likes to do two drummers anyway. So that I'd be very interested to see like that, like if they got 3 drummers going on, or if they did what is Dale Grover still a drummer? I'm really bad. Okay, if Dale Grover like gets over there with I can't remember the guy's name, drummers from Napalm Death, but if they start playing drums together in a song like that, that'd be awesome for me anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll do the last 2 that I bought live. One is a band that you're gonna know, Jeff. Okay. I don't know if you know them, Nick, but they're very interesting and they're very cool. It is a band called Missouri Executive Order 44.
Yes.
Have you heard this band, Nick?
Jeff has talked about them on the show, and I have checked them out and was like, what the fuck? He told me he saw them with you guys.
Dude, they're a gimmick band like the Locust is, right? In the fact that they like show up in like gear. And their whole gimmick is that they're like the whole record's about like religion, or all of their bands about like religion, religious persecution and stuff like that. And they're not Mormons, but their gimmick is they use the Mormons to kind of convey this thing, because like where they live, Jeff will probably know more about it, in Missouri, there was some sort of like, I guess they murdered a bunch of Mormons or something. I don't know. And the Executive Order 44 was how they legally justified it. I don't really know. I have a pamphlet on it, but I forgot. But anyway, they come out dressed in like, you know, the button-up shirt, and like they have the bicycle helmet, but they've got like fishnet covering, like, or the pantyhose covering their face, so it kind of obstructs who they are. And when they got like the slacks on, they don't have these like sick Shawn Michaels jeans. They just have like slacks. Yeah, so they look like full on. They're in full on Mormon attire, right? But then they get into this like super crazy, just spazzy, hardcore grindcore shit, and like I guess it is kind of like the Locust without the keyboards in a way, as far as like how all over the drums are and how all over everything is. They're really, really good. If you're into like the Locust and Daughters and spazzy stuff like that, like I highly recommend them. And then like it's just a black vinyl, right? But then they got the cool like screen printing on the other side, I guess, because you know, since they're a Daughters Locust style band, they don't play very long. So I thought this reminded me of the I mean, I know it's kind of like the little swirly pin thing that they did, but it also reminded me of today's artwork. So I had to get this one when we played with them. But
yeah, that does remind me of Today's the Day, now that you say that.
Yeah. The symbol.
Yep. And just real quick about that band, like I saw them play a year before I saw you guys open up for them. They opened up for Bandit, and that same venue or that same building, that same room that you all played in, it was the middle of August. It was just too hot. It was there. I'm not doing this. So I sat outside until Bandit played, and then I was up, up behind the drummer, whatever. But anyway, whenever I was talking to you, and you were like real enthusiastic about it, you're like, you gotta go see this fucking band. You've got to go watch them with me. And I'm like, okay, dude, I'll hang out. And I'm so glad you fucking introduced me to that band that night because holy shit, they're good, dude.
Yeah,
awesome band.
I played with them in some. I don't know where I played with them at. I played like it wasn't in Texas. I think it was like Oklahoma or. So I played with them in some state that's not a state that I live in, and I like I see some like crusty looking people like the cutoff shorts and the patches and like the septum piercings and all that kind of stuff. Sure. And I'm just like whatever. And I'm very introverted, even though I'm clearly a yapper here. I don't talk in person, so I was just kind of paying attention and doing my own thing. And then they all come in dressed in the Mormon getup, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? And very confused. And then they started ripping it up, and then I was like, yo, this band is top tier.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
it's a cool use of a gimmick. Like, it's not like, what is that, Ned Flanders band? I don't even know.
Oakley.
Yeah. It's not good. But the real segue that I wanted to get into with that is the last show that I went to and bought a record from was a band called the Blood Brothers. I don't know if I'm sure Nick, you're familiar with them.
I'm not a fan, but I know who they are.
I wasn't sure if you would be. They're super weirdo. This is Crimes record, and it's a bootleg from their tour that they just did, their 2024 tour. And yeah, man. Again, another band that is back. I don't think they're fully back. I think they were just doing a tour. They were so good. Like a lot of these older bands come back and they just don't have it still. And this band was better than I had ever seen them before. And I had seen them a bunch like back in like 2004 and 2006 before they had broken up initially. I don't think there's a band that sounds like them at all. And that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. Cause like Nick, you don't like them. And they were never like fully, they always had their place in the scene, but like they were never fully part of it. Man, I don't even know how to explain them. It was art weirdos making weirdo hardcore. And hardcore is not even the right word for it. So I don't know. I didn't like it at first either. Then some way it just got hooked on me, man. And I'm just obsessed with this band. So, but that's the last thing that I bought at a show. Other than those two things.
Right on. I am not familiar with the Blood Brothers.
I am not sure if it'd be up your alley, but I'll make you a playlist of very, very tailored songs because it's literally like you don't know what song you're gonna get with that band. And okay. I could see some of it you being like, "This is fucking the worst shit you ever heard," and then some of it you being like, "Oh, this is really cool," and then you not being able to know it was the same band, like not just you, but like anybody.
Sure,
there's one of those bands.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought about something, Nick. I was going to show off the Power Trip record that I got you, but I forgot to grab it. R.I.P. to Riley, man. That band's huge. It's crazy. Last time they played at this venue called The Factory, and there was like 4,000 people there. And as someone who's seen Power Trip play to like 10 people in a taqueria, it's mind blowing, dude. It's mind blowing to see like some of these bands like where they're at. And that's not like a hate thing. Like that's like an awesome thing. I miss stage diving, but
I saw them in a small like overheated warehouse in like the middle of the summer in like 2014 or so, and then they went from that to like they're on tour with Pantera right now. They're just finishing it up at least.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's great. I was making the joke, and I was calling it like Pantera with Rome and Power Trip with Rome, and then in reference to and I forgot that they toured together. That's crazy. Yeah, 2020. This is a weird timeline. I'm gonna show off a hip hop record now. I know Nick, you like some hip hop. I don't know how much hip hop you listen to, Jeff. And this is a total bootleg, so. Mm-hmm. Whoever's in charge of that stuff, don't hunt us down. Super important record in the world. Bone Thugs, East 1999. I searched down. They did one pressing of it, like in like 1994. it's probably like limited to like 1,000 or some stupid shit like that. I search it because I'm not a big nerd on the first thing, but like, I don't want to go the bootleg route, but I had to, man. It's a 4-sided record. Top tier hip hop, man. I don't even know what to say about it other than it reminds me of smoking weed. All their songs are about smoking weed, killing people, and crack. It's pretty cool.
I would say, what I have to say about that is that we're not against rap. We're not against rappers. But we are against those thugs.
Okay, well, that answers the question because that's the introduction. That's literally the introduction, bro.
I know.
Yeah. You know. This is great, man.
It is. Just phenomenal record, phenomenal album. And I've never even fathomed the thought of trying to look up an original, especially if they've only pressed it once. I don't work enough hours. There's not enough money in my 401k to buy one of those copies of an original fucking Bone Thugs, dude. Like
they all got to be in bad shape. If they were made once, it was made for DJs. That's what old hip hop records were only made for DJs. So like, if you get your hands on one, there's probably like pen or Sharpie marks to indicate where like drop the needle in certain songs. It just sucks. I have a couple like that.
What are your favorite hip hop records? Or what do you got in your hand? It looks like you got a record in your hand. What do you got?
No, this is my notepad down here.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
My favorite hip hop records. I mean, I like Paul's Boutique. I like Liquid Swords, Big L's, Lifetime of the Rich and Dangerous. No, that's not what it's called. But I have a lot of stuff. I mean, I came from the '90s, so like the Chronic, Doggy Style, Eazy-E. There's a lot of stuff, but like the more newer stuff, like I don't want to sound cliche, but like Kendrick is really fucking good. I own like almost all of his stuff on vinyl. I like Action Bronson a lot. Run the Jewels is really fucking cool. Yeah.
God.
But there is a lot out there. I guess I'm like at that old man angry age, or like if it doesn't sound like what I used to listen to, I get mad at it. But like I've seen Benny the Butcher live a couple times. I've seen West Side Gun, Conway. I've seen them all. I'll go check out anything that's like unique. Action Bronson's really fun because he keeps playing these small clubs. He's a wrestling fan. He gets into it with his fans, so like that's fucking awesome for me. Like I'll check that out over and over.
Yeah, I was actually going to make that little thing about the what he had that match with Hook, right? Where he teamed with Hook.
Mm-hmm.
AEW. Yeah,
I saw him the next night in Baltimore, and he was advertising it because it was going to come. It aired on a Friday. They taped it on Wednesday, and then yeah.
Oh, that's someone working with AEW doing some advertisement. That's phenomenal. I need more of that. And also West Side Gun. That's also a rapper that I've never seen him live, but I see him on my TV probably every Wednesday night.
Yeah, he's in the audience all the time. I saw him with it was Griselda, so it was all like Benny, him, and Conway. But he started the show. It was fucking great. He came out. And I was like, oh my god, dude! I'm not kidding when I say this because it was all three. It started off him, then Benny came out, then Conway came out, then they all did their shit. That show was like 3 hours non fucking stop, and like I was just so blazed. It was so loud. At the end of the night, I was like, oh my god. Then I had Death Fest. Like 2 days later was like a 4-day Death Fest weekend. So like that show kicked my ass. Hip hop shows do not fuck around.
It's fun.
It's just nonstop music. I was like, oh my god, this is great. Like it's a shame I don't dance because I'd be having more of a fun time than I was actually having. But like it is great, especially when you know all the music. You're just like, oh my god, they're playing this one. So like, yeah.
Especially when it's a crew of people like Griselda, like right, because then you get like it's very quick change up because like a lot of times like if it's like a random hip hop show, it's like you get a DJ for a lot in between setups and for us band members, we're like, dude, you just like change the track, my guy. Like you're not setting them a kit. It doesn't take that long, but whatever.
I have been to a handful where, like Benny. Anytime I've seen Benny, the DJs between sets, and it's just like, oh, bring him out already. Like, but the one thing I hate the most is like, guess we got a surprise for you all the way from Richmond, Virginia. They just keep bringing out more and more artists to perform, and I'm just like, yo, man, like bring on Benny. Like it's all I feel like, but it is what it is.
So that actually happened one time at a Bone Thug show. Perfect. It was in Dallas, and it had snowed that year, and this was back before it snowed regularly here. Um, and They didn't shut the show down for whatever reason, so we all showed up. We showed up at like 7, right? Like the normal time that you show up for a show, and Bone Thugs didn't show up until like midnight. But like they kept sending people out there to be like, they're coming, and then they'd have like a local rapper or a local performer come out and like do a set and like just like try to keep everyone in. Like most of the crowd ended up leaving, but by the time they did show up, and it was a great show. And then because most of the people had left, they did like a free meet and greet outside at their merch table. So I got to meet them all. So that was really fun.
The first time I saw them was in the snow. Also, another story kind of like that. I saw DMX in 2018 on the night of Kofi Mania, and he just, dude, like the DJ just kept stalling. It got to the point where the crowd was booing so loud, but he wanted the crowd. He kept saying, "You got to be louder than that for DMX to come out," and they just started booing him. Like it was awful. I thought like a riot was about to break out, but like he came out. I want to say he Axl Rosed us. So like an hour and a half later, he came out and he played every fucking song I wanted to hear. It was all on point. He was amazing. He was great performer. And then he died a couple of years later. I was like, what? Awful story.
I saw in a similar instance, I saw Danzig one time. I know it's not anything close to DMX, but I wanted to see Danzig really bad because like he was going to be performing with Doyle, and this was before they had done all the Misfits reunions that they had done, because this is probably like 15 years ago. And he was like, I don't know if he was sick or something, but it was an outdoor show, and he kept making like demands like, oh, they need to tarp off this because there's too much wind. They need to bring out heaters on stage. And one of his like wild ass demands was he had to get French onion soup from a very particular like Austin restaurant. And like if you Google Danzig French onion soup, it'll come up. It was a whole ordeal. And he gets his French onion soup, and it's a festival and it's outdoors, so there is a noise ordinance. And he's Danzig, so he thinks he's above all that. And so he comes out, he plays a bunch of new stuff that no one cares about because everyone's there for the Misfits stuff. And like Danzig won because that's what was been advertised. And then right at the time he goes in there, he plays one song with Doyle, and then they shut it down. And then he tries to start a riot because he's like, oh, why are you shutting me down? Or blah, blah, blah. Like, and trying to get the fans all hyped up. Like it wasn't his fault that he was making all these wild demands for French onion soup because he had a cold. So you can look it up. Danzig French onion soup. Google it. It'll pop up. You'll find a whole Vice articles about it. Yeah, how it ruined the festival. Yeah.
Oh man.
What an interesting guy. So another real good live band. Have either of you heard of Dakaiju?
No.
No.
Have not.
Okay, so this is just like 45, and I believe it's just one song. It's called Harriets of Discord, or Harriers of Discord. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. And this band, they are kind of like they're a surf rock band, right? So they sound like Dick Dale surf rock, like what you would like, Pulp Fiction. If you're not familiar with Dick Dale, like that type of like stuff. But what I would compare them to is the Dillinger Escape Plan of surf rock. Yeah. So they come out, they wear kabuki masks because the kaiju, and they don't speak. They make these giant grand gestures on stage and point at stuff. And they'll start off on stage normally, and about halfway through the set, they'll start like handing out their instruments to people in the crowd to like bring them out in the crowd. And then they end their show in the middle of the crowd, kind of like in the mosh pit area with like everyone circled around them. At one point in their set, they will always bust out a bunch of lighter fluid if they're allowed to in the venue, and set all their gear on fire. Like they set their drum set on fire, they set their guitars on fire, and it's like a big swell in the song, like right when all the fire's coming up, you know what I mean? And then the song just starts like hitting. And it's a fucking spectacle, man. The first time I ever played drums in front of people was for this band because
they're interesting, and they'll just like their guitar player will just like get bored and hand his guitar to someone and walk away. I was taking photos because I do photography, or I used to, and I was taking photos of their drummer, and he stopped playing and held up some drumsticks and like put them in my face and kept pointing them at it because again they don't talk, so he's just like, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? And he stands up and he points at the throne and points at the drumsticks and like thrusts them in my face. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I don't know, I don't think he knew that I played drums because how would he? So it's just very serendipitous. And so I take the drum set, it's drumsticks, I sit down and I start playing drums for the band and like finish out the song with them. And that was the very first time I ever played drums in front of like an audience. So it's interesting now that I am a drummer. But if they play very small bars and they don't ever have like they're gonna play with local acts, right? They don't have a full tour kind of a thing. So look them up, Dakaiju. Their Instagram is Team Dakaiju at Team Dakaiju. And if they're ever in your areas, guys, you gotta go. Like it is worth it. Like it'll be like $10. You will never see anything quite like it, and it is phenomenal. Like I can't explain to you how great it is. And I know that you guys like chaos and that kind of stuff live, so I know that you will both have a blast.
I remember vaguely because I was waiting for you to say that there was a fire in the middle, because I remember you posting pictures years ago of a band in kabuki masks with a fire, and I'm like, just say it, say that this is the thing. I'm intrigued. Are they still active? I mean, are they still?
Yeah, they are. They literally go on tour all the time. Like they're a band that like I obviously have like some records by them, and I enjoy listening to them. But because they're based in Houston, I think so. Every tour that they do ends up like routing through Dallas, either on the first date or on the last date. So I see them regularly, or I'll be in Austin, or like recently I was at a Glassjaw show at the Mohawk. And one of my friends just runs up to me and he's like, "Oh, the Kaiju's playing next door." And I was like, "What time?" He's like, "It's the Kaiju, so they're probably playing late." And I was like, "All right, cool." So they finished watching Glassjaw, ran over to the club next door. Sure as shit, waited about 30 minutes. The Kaiju setting stuff on fire. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by this.
Oh, and then they do like super. I want to do this, but I don't think I could. Our songs are too difficult to do this. Like their drummer like will literally hand out his throne and his snare and like have people hold them up, and then he'll sit on top of his throne on top of the crowd while people hold up a cymbal and his snare and his tom, and he's just like on top of the crowd playing drums. It's really I can't like put it over enough about how cool it is.
Oh yeah.
Definitely sounds fucking rad. I'd love to see it. I mean, I wouldn't even drive to Dallas to see, because I go to Dallas at least a couple times a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not above me to drive to Dallas. I would definitely come down there and go to a show with you or go see the Kaiju.
You absolutely should. You absolutely should. I'm trying to get on a show with them really bad. But the world hasn't worked out in my favor always. So, but one day it'll happen, and I'm very excited. They're great. Can't put them over. Another band that's great. We're going to the death metal. Highly influential band for me.
Yes.
Cephalic Carnage.
Yes.
If Relapse is going to do their like little represses that they do all the time, I don't know why they're not doing more Cephalic Carnage represses, right? And Nick, I know this one. You may not have this one, Nick, but I bet you do because you're you.
I have one pressing.
I know you do, but I don't know if you have this one. But you probably do because you're you.
I do.
He does.
Of course you do. Of course you've got the connect on the Relapse clears, bro.
It was actually a gift for my co-host.
Yeah.
You guys are using this as a benefit. I already see it. You started a podcast just to get fucking record connections and collections.
Jeff is the diehard, but when he comes across something, he'll be like, "Hey, do you have this?" No, and then we take care of each other, right?
As far as the starting a podcast to get connections and all that, we're done. go ahead and wrap up the episode. Thank you for being our guest, Josh. We don't need our fucking secrets getting out. You're done. You'll never be on this show again.
Dude, man, whoever is inheriting your guys, not sound morbid, but whoever's you're specifically, Jeff. Melanie's gonna be a lucky woman. Like she already is a lucky woman because she's got you. But you know what I'm saying? That payday, crazy. I feel sad about Morgan. I want to get on Morgan's will. Hey Morgan, if you're watching, I'm sorry for talking shit earlier. If you want to put me on your will for your records, you know, I'm your son.
I'm the same way with Champ. Like every now and then, I'll text him. I'll be like, dude, you know how much better Pearl Jam is than Nirvana? You know, just to get on his good side, man, with that will.
Yeah, dude, he's man. Some of y'all guys are crazy, dude. Some of you guys are nuts. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know. I learned about watching Nick.
So for me, I've got 2 records here because I collected records at 2 different phases in my life. Two major different phases, right? I'm probably in a lapsed phase right now as far as record collecting, but there are 2 different records at 2 different points that kind of got me into collecting records. And one of them, when I was a kid, I was like one of those little dipshit skater punk kids, and I went to a Hot Topic, and they had AFI records, and I was a big AFI fan, and they had this Sing the Sorrow record, and I bought it, and never listened to it because I didn't have a fucking record player at the time, and it just sat in my closet for years and years and years, and I never thought about it. And then one day, I was hanging out with my friend Ben Chisholm of the band Chelsea Wolf, and he gave me this record when I didn't have a record player still, their record, Apocalypsis. And so then I had to go buy a record player. And so then I started collecting records seriously. And that led me to realize that the old AFI records that I had bought in the early 2000s, along with some other records, were worth quite a bit of money. And I did not understand. And so this is the original pressing. And it's worth a fuck ton of money. As far as like, why would anyone pay that much for a record? But you know, it's worth that. And so that's a cool story of how I initially started collecting records. And I have a bunch of old records from that way, and then how it got reignited in like 2010, 2011, probably through the band Chelsea Wolf. AFI is a great band. I'm sure everyone knows them. You maybe know their latter stuff where they're like more goth emo bullshit, you know, but when they were younger, they were more of a hardcore band and a skate punk band, and it was really good. And at the time I loved it. And then I don't know I know you guys know Chelsea Wolf, obviously, but have you been to any of her shows lately?
Not lately. I saw her at Psycho Las Vegas a couple of years back. I actually met her at Psycho Las Vegas, but anyway, no, I haven't seen her lately.
Bro, I felt like I was at like a goth Taylor Swift show. It was crazy. Not that I've ever been to a Taylor Swift show, but like there's a bunch of like young girls, women. I don't know their age range, right? But they're like screaming and like freaking out over her. And I was like, yo, this is wild. Because like when I met these people, like I met Ben through tweeting about like Ceremony or Agorphoric Nosebleed or something on Twitter a long ass time ago. And we became friends that way. And like I couldn't give away guestless spots to my friends when they came to town. And now it's one of those things where it's like they're so busy when they come to town. Like I have to like wait around for hours to see them, you know, because they're like doing meet and greets and all that stupid ass bullshit. So, but great bands, 2 of them. Highly, I guess they are kind of similar in the fact that they goth people like them, right? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know if either of those 2 things are your jams or not all.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys, because like you know everyone's doing represses right now. What do you guys think about the Between the Bear to Me represses?
I mean, so that's I have that, but like I'll buy it. I don't need to have an OG. I don't, but like what was it that I had? I don't own the Great Misdirect. That's like the last one I really want to own, or Alaska actually.
I think the Great Misdirect. No, I think Colors is the last one I cared about. I don't think I went further down the rabbit hole than that. But I just thought about that because I remember like being so into that band back in like what 2004, and then getting the repress and repress and the remaster, and was hoping to like, oh, I want to see how different this sounds, and I wasn't super happy with it. I don't know if you can see it like in the corner here, the Ion Dissonance Solus record up there in the corner, but also another record that was remastered that I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about all these remasters. It's cool that we're getting them on vinyl, so like I don't want to sound like I'm a hater, Simon. If you're watching, thank you for the work that you do, even though we don't know each other. But maybe just release the OG ones. I don't know. In my opinion, has he been a guest on there on you guys' stuff? I assuming he has, right?
We have not had him on. I'd love to have him on. I know James Watson from See You Next Tuesday says he would try to introduce us to this dude. So
he's got a collection, brother. As someone who's been, we're all Instagram vinyl nerds, so like,
yeah, he's one of the first friends that I met on there, and I just everything he posted, I was like, damn, he's got that. Damn, he's got that. He's great collection. Great collection.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, bro, he's been running this game for a long ass time, right? Because like some of those are worth money or like super hard to find, and I'm sure he is tracking shit down because like we're nerds. But like, bro, that like he's got some shit that's awesome, man. Like
he'll also tell you his guitar collection is better than his vinyl collection, but
he's got some very rare guitars. That's also a gear nerd. That's probably a problem, right? Like I don't know if do you guys collect anything other than, I know you do, Nick, because you have an action figure collection that you send me all the fucking time, man. Like, I see action figures and I think about sending them to you. Just like I got the Kenny Omega, I got the Young Bucks, the Ryu Street Fighter collection. Who's that? Sky Blue. She's cleared, bro. She's supposed to be coming back soon.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I got an MJF. And then I got the Death Triangle, like collector's trio. I think I told you about this. I got really, and it was during the residency, like right when it got announced that they were probably not going to be there anymore. And so like I got drunk enough to be like, even though I don't collect these toys, man, Penta and Ray are retiring in my mind. So I had to get it.
Those Penta figures are going for big bucks right now because he's in WWE. So
I bet that
thing you can make like $150 off of.
I would imagine, bro. I'm gonna keep it though. I'm a big Lucha Bros fan, man. Those are my guys. I'm a big.
Phoenix.
I'm gonna end up watching some stuff on WWE because of that, just because I love Penta and Ray so much. They're just so phenomenal, and Penta's the coolest guy in the fucking world, in my opinion. Like the guy just got the aura. As far as back on the subject of gimmick bands,
yes,
Arab on Radar. And it's still got the little price tag sticker because I got this at End of an Ear Records in Austin, Texas. If you live in Austin, Texas, and you've never been to End of an Ear, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Or if you're ever in Texas and you can go to End of an Ear, this is probably the coolest record store in Texas. They've got everything. Clearly, they've got Locust and Arab on Radar. Every time I go to Austin, I make sure to stop by there. Spend way too much money there. They always have fresh. They always have the coolest shit, like the handful of Death Spell Omega records that I first got there, even though, questionable band now, but they were rare at the time. And just stuff like that, like I've gotten a Gorefork Nosebleed. I think I got some stuff there. I got like old Trash Talk. Oh, I'll bust one of those out next. I got Trash Talk record there. This one is the very cool puzzle piece. 7-inch, and so there's 4 of these. If you're a collector's nerd, and you get all 4 of them, and they just create a little fucking puzzle, right? But yeah, I have the green one. It's got nose and a boob and a penis and stuff on there because we're adults. But I know that you guys had Justin Pearson on that because I watched that earlier today. Big fan. Big fan of Locust. R.I.P. Gabe Servian. Probably, I think the most underrated drummer in the history of spazzy hardcore music. If I can be 100% honest with you.
Definitely.
True.
And those. So each color is green is vomit, white is for milk, yellow is for urine, and brown is for poop. That's
So
what all the
yeah, that correlates. Okay. Did more thought into it than I thought. All right. Also have the original 7-inch. I got this at probably at that used bookstore I was talking about. It's a clear. They always had such cool merch, man. I bought a Coke mirror. Not that I did Coke, but like they just had one when I was a kid, and I thought that was really cool. A vanity mirror, and I was like, oh, I gotta get I gotta get a Locust mirror. And then as I got a little bit older, I realized what that was actually used for. And check this out. It's got like one of the Discog things in there where you can order stuff on there, and then so it's like you can order the other. The split for $7. Man, some of these prices is crazy.
He talked about that. He did.
He did.
$3 it was $3 for this EP. I'm sure I paid more than that, but I don't know how much more because they're not a huge band.
I never knew that the Locust had a vanity mirror.
Dude, they had a toilet seat too.
I'm gonna have to look up. I don't care about the toilet seat. I'm gonna look up the fucking vanity mirror.
More bands need novelty of merch items, dude.
Sure.
Like what had the butt plugs? Was that Ghost?
Ghost did that, yeah.
Yeah, they did do that.
If you're buying a Ghost butt plug, you're a fan.
Dude, they did a dildo in the shape of that guy. They did candles. They've done so much, but that's smart. They thought like Kiss. They did merchandise, man. Like they were such a marketable band, whether you like them or not. That guy's fucking gimmick, just you do anything, make dolls, make figures, whatever the fuck. But they just made a fucking movie. Anyways,
they did.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was in theaters. Yeah.
Speaking of movies, I was talking to one of my bandmates last night because we're like movie nerds, and he's not a mark, and so I was like, hey, there's this movie we should go see called Queen of the Ring, and I was trying to get it in, like sneak it in from a cinema perspective, and then I was like, oh, let me look up who the director of this is, because Tony Storm and all these people are in it, and the director is Ash Avildsen, and I was like, wait, what? This fucking wrestling movie is directed by the owner of Sumerian Records? That's wild.
Dude, every time I see his name, I think about pushing pool tables out of the way so we can set up the stage for these small hardcore shows he used to book in Northern Virginia. Like, that kid's come a long way, and everybody used to say, oh, he wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for his dad's money. Like, he did not have his dad's money back in those days. Like, he did everything. He started everything from the bottom. He was very DIY. And, man, those fests that he used to book in 2005, 2006, Northern Virginia, those were legendary. Ash just had a great hookup, great connect, and just people loved working with him. They really did.
I mean, shit, who all was in Reflux? Evan Brewer, Tosin Abasi, right?
Little kid Vince, he was awesome on drums. Yeah. No, they just Ash is just a brilliant guy. He knows how to he's really motivated and really driven and just gets where he wants to go. And like whether it's Sumerian or the movies he makes, TV series he makes, like he's doing good things. That's awesome that he's doing this Queen of the Ring. I had no idea that was him.
Shocked.
That's great. Yeah.
I got so Nick, I don't know if you have this one, Nick, but I mentioned them a moment ago. Trash Talk. Do you have the Shame, the collection EP? Or the collection of all the EPs? It's Walking Disease, Plagues, the self-titled, and East of Eden, all on one. They collectively released this themselves because they had issues with, I believe, Death Wish released them all, and I think there was like a whole like little coded fuck you to the owner of Death Wish in here, but I don't think I have the insert. Like I bought it off Discogs because it's kind of hard. It was hard to find. But this was a very influential band as far as like hardcore and like that style of hardcore. Because when I talk about hardcore and modern hardcore, even though it's not modern anymore, because what was this 2010? I think about stuff like Trash Talk, just blast beats and cool drums and angry Lee Spillman diving on people and violence and stuff. It's a fun time.
Oh yeah.
You have some of the records though, right? Because I think me and you talked about that. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, I got some 7-inches and I don't remember what are the other things that I have of. I do have like a 112-inch and maybe a 7-inch, but like I remember I pre-ordered a record years ago, and they just I don't know, they just like never sent it to me, and I hit them up, and I was like, hey, like I see other people are getting their records, and they just without any sort of response, they just send me a refund.
Oh, that's crazy. That's fucked up. I can understand having a sour taste in your mouth. As far as modern hardcore goes, have any of you guys listened to this record, Candy? Candy Says, the EP?
Oh, they opened for Dillinger in Brooklyn. I haven't listened to them, but I mean, I saw them open for Brooklyn or open for Dillinger in Brooklyn a couple months back. But
okay? So there are hardcore bands. This is clearly a Eaten Back to Life reference, in my opinion, on this cover. And then Candy Says that's like a Velvet Underground. So like before I even heard it, I was like, wait, so there's a hardcore band, because one of the guys used to be in a band called Malfunction, and I was like, wait, so this is a hardcore band, Velvet Underground reference, and then a Cannibal Corpse homage. I was like, I gotta get this,
right?
And this is a fucking banger. I think you guys would both really like this record. I don't know about some of the latter ones, because I honestly haven't listened to the newest one, maybe the newest two, because I'm kind of out of the loop on certain things. But this EP specifically, Candy Says, I think there's some riffs on here, man. I think you guys would like it.
Huh? Yeah. I don't know if it was the atmosphere, if it was one of those situations where it was like the opening band I'd never heard of, and I was just like waiting on Dillinger. I'm like, come on, like I don't care. I wanted to see Dillinger, but I just
they're not good live, if I can be honest with you. Like, not to talk
okay.
about
So that cures that.
Yeah, some bands just don't have it, and like I've never seen them and I've seen them a bunch, and I've never seen them have a crowd that was like into it, and so like it always feels like they're kind of like the sore thumb on the show, and
Gotcha.
So the vibe is always not good. So I've never personally loved my experience seeing them, but I do love the band, at least that one.
That happens, man. Some bands just don't translate well live, especially after being, such a fan of an album, and you see them live, it's like, ugh. Yeah, it happens.
It does. Another record that I have that is shockingly worth a lot of money on Discogs. I didn't realize it because I got it from it was one of those services you could order. It's probably written on here. Vinyl Me Please. I ordered this from Vinyl Me Please. I signed up for Vinyl Me Please just to get this record. I don't know if you guys remember that service.
Mm-hmm.
It was a monthly vinyl. I don't know if it still exists, but
signed
up for that just to get Usher's Confessions Volume 2, because this was the only place that you could get this record. Like it was never released on vinyl because it came out in the dark ages where everyone was just putting shit out on CDs. So yeah, Usher's Confessions, man. If you're into metal and you're in a band and you're not listening to stuff like this, like where there's actually good songwriting and good instrumentation other than like blast beats and people yelling, I don't know, man. I think you maybe should dip your toes into some other stuff and get some other influences, and not saying like you need to add R&B to your death metal, you know what I mean? But like maybe get the idea of writing a song, because I think that's one of my modern beefs with a lot of like modern younger bands and like newer bands, Old Man Sounds Like Cloud Moment, is that just I think a lot of people don't write good songs anymore. Like there's cool parts, like there's tons of cool parts, but like there's a lot of stuff that like I just have a hard time coming back to. But listen to people like Usher, or listen to people like where the fuck did it go? All right, not the one I wanted, or listen to guys like Prince. I probably have more Prince records than any other band, if I can be honest with you. This is just the greatest hits one, but I have singles. I have all of the records individually. I've got, you can't really see it above me, I got like a Japanese copy on purple vinyl up there that's like pretty rare. I'm a huge Prince fan. I think Prince is one of the greatest artists of all time. On the subject of Super Bowl shows that just happened and Kendrick Lamar, Prince was still better, even though I thought the Kendrick one was great.
I just had a conversation with my boss about that earlier. He said Prince as well.
Yeah, it was the best one, and that's not the hate on the Kendrick one, because I jokingly said Prince is number one, Janet Jackson's Boob is number two for me, and then Kendrick Lamar was a strong number three.
I thought Bruno Mars did a really good job a couple years ago. And same with Katy Perry
and Lady Gaga. She did great too.
She was awesome. You're right. She was really awesome.
Yeah, she was really, really good. And but Bruno Mars was actually really good, because there was a part where Bruno Mars hopped on the drum set and did like a little fill, and I was like, man, I had no idea.
It was a hell of a performance.
Yeah, I had no idea. And then, because the theme of this fucking episode is awesome segues, I have an album that I'm going to show off again about songwriting, who collaborates with Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak. This album specific, Malibu, is phenomenal. This is a record day special one. And that got pushed back forever, dude. Like, this was like early on in the record store day, like, releases. And I ordered this, and like they pushed it back for years. So they pushed it back so long that it ended up getting repressed again before this came out. But if you like any sort of like modern like R&B or like neo soul or just like soft hip hop, or like, you know, like you like 90s hip hop, Nick, you might actually like this if you've never listened to this. Anderson .Paak, Malibu. He's the drummer, and you know, he raps and he kind of sings, but you know, there's a lot of, he has a band called the Free Nationals. So a lot of this isn't just like a DJ and a guy rapping over a DJ. It's a dude who's legit, you know, him playing piano or him playing drums with an actual band. And they just make really good music. This record was great. All of his records for a time period were named after cities in California where he's from. But this one is my favorite. And I think it was a very popular record, but I think more people in the metal scene probably should listen to it. And it's got a really cool, it's going to be like one of the first cool ones that I show off. I'm not a big nerd on rarity or like the variant, what it looks like. But for me, I try to, if I can, if I have an option, I always try to go with one that I think matches the album artwork more so than like how rare it is. So the orange and white play into the color themes, and I'm a nerd that way more so than like, oh, this is number 30 of, you know, 250. So
right, dude, that's an awesome pressing.
Yeah,
it really is.
Fucking pressing is beautiful.
Yeah, you guys, you should check them out. I really think that both you guys would probably dig them.
Anderson .Paak, Malibu.
Mm-hmm. Very good record.
I've seen the name, but I've never known. Like, I've never taken the initiative to listen.
If you are bored and you just and you're like me, I just throw on YouTube in the background and like listen to stuff. If I like don't have, if I'm not in the mindset of like going through and like actively changing records and all that kind of stuff. Right. He's got a really good Tiny Desk, NPR Tiny Desk, that I highly recommend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love that. I'll go watch that then.
Yeah. I've got a cool pressing here, and this is kind of a rarity, even though I said I don't really care about those. This one is a rare one that I do care about and I do showcase. It's like a book. It's Thrice, The Alchemy Index. And it's number 1006 of 1000, you know, because you always got to press a couple extra just in case something happens.
Sure.
I just always think that's funny when you get the one that's over the amount that's like what's supposed to be allotted. Mm-hmm. But I think as you can see, even though the lighting's horrible, it's like all shiny. It opens up. It's like legit like a book. It's got like the lyrics, and it's got like some information about like kind of what the song's about, and I think it's tarot that it's based on. I don't know, and kind of opens through, and then it's a collection. The Alchemy Index was a collection of EPs they did. There was fire, water, earth, and air, and they were all kind of different sounds. Thrice is a band that was similar how we talk about bands that always kind of sound differently depending on what they're doing at the time. That's how they were doing it, and each one of these records had a different sound. And so like here's the fire pressing, and I'm not gonna show them all because there's no need to, but it's all variations of like, you know, the same thing, like a color with a splatter that looks like that. And they're 10 inches. Funny story about this was since they were only coming out with 1,000, and Thrice has a quite they're not like huge, but they have a very strong fan base that likes their shit and that's gonna buy it. So they did the pre-order times, and I, for some reason, opened up the browser the night before because I was going to be waking up early in the morning, or waking up late. So I opened up the browser to go to the website just to make sure it was open. And whoever set the timer on releasing the record set it to be released at 12 a.m. and not 12 p.m. So it actually got released 12 hours early. And because I was smart enough or lucky enough to go look on the internet, I ordered a copy, and then by the time the actual pre-order hit for everyone, they were all already sold out.
Oh,
yeah, fans were not happy.
Man, that would piss me off. Dude, that would be so bad.
It would piss me off too, because I get the worst thing in the world in the vinyl thing for me is when a band is like, hey, we're releasing, we'll use Daughters as an example. Hey, we're Daughters. We're releasing Canada songs for the first time on vinyl. It's going to be limited to 500. And we're really popular right now. So we're going to release it on 2 variants. So we know vinyl's hot. We know we're hot, but here's 1,000 records. Clearly this shit's going to sell out, right? And then like everyone, it becomes a big deal. Everyone's like refreshing, trying to get that shit. People's days are annoyed because they're like trying to get it on their lunch break. And then what ends up happening is like 10 minutes after it sells out, you know, the band pops up on Instagram like, we had no idea that so many people liked us. Here's 3 more variants of the same record. Oh, and they'll be shipped on the same date. We got lucky. They're not going to bump us for some reason. I hate when bands do that. I don't know if you guys. I feel like it's coordinated. Like bands like hold off to see what the interest level is on some of the vinyl before they fully release all of them to keep the scarcity up. Personally,
Sure. Fuckers.
Yeah, bro. It's all scam. And we're buying into it, clearly. Look at this shit. The worst part about it.
Yep.
I'm going to do another bullshit record that everyone should love because, again, songwriting that is not metal at all. And it's a greatest hits. Hall & Oates. Like, do you guys like Hall & Oates?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Appreciate me some Hall & Oates.
Yeah, I think this is one of the greatest collection records, the very best of records of all time, as far as like collections of bangers. Like this is good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about Hall & Oates. Like, it's like if you grew up listening to, like, we're all of the age where we grew up in the 90s and 80s and stuff, and I when I think of like 80s music, I just think of like dreams come true, you know? Like that's just what, if someone is like, oh, think of the 80s sonically in your head, like the first thing that happens is the keyboards to you make my dreams come true, which sounds a lot like the DuckTales theme song. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that growing up.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I know that's that.
Well, one of my childhood memories, like one of my favorite songs that I remember as a child was "Private Eyes." I've always, you know, I just always remember being so entranced by that song as a child. You know, as a small child growing up. But Hall & Oates, dude. I mean, fucking come on.
I feel like Maneater was the big one for me, but like as I got older, like all there's like years later, I was like, oh wow, they did this one too. Like That's what happened to me.
That is similar. I have a similar story. For me, the one that got me into them was "You Make My Dreams." But as I got older, then it was like, oh, Private Eye. Oh, this is Hollow Notes too. Oh, Maneater. This is Hollow Notes too. Oh, Rich Girl. This is too. Now, for me, my favorite is Out of Touch. I can't get enough of that fucking song. And like, the older I get, the more I love it. It's funny because like I go to the gym and like a bunch of people will be like in there just like lift into like metal or like what they think is metal rather. And then like I'm just over here just like, oh fuck yeah, she's a rich girl, you know, fucking. And then another important record for me, which I know that will have a lot of ties to Nick here because they didn't release this one on vinyl originally. Nick, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this because I could be wrong. But did they ever release this on the first with the original artwork?
I don't think so. But like, I eventually it got released on CD with that artwork. Like when
Yes,
they re-release it. So I don't think whoever started pressing vinyl for them, that's when. Yeah.
they got the rights to this one or whatever, not the original one.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't know why they changed the cover. Maybe because there was people who were in the band anymore that were on that cover.
The bass player in that was very prominent in like the bottom panel, and he was not in the band. It was him and like Jordan, I think, in the thing. R.I.P. to this band, by the way.
Yeah.
Especially like this. I think this is one of the most slept on records as far as just like chaotic hardcore goes. Like, you know, everyone likes them when they came into like Hot Damn and the more southern hardcore influence stuff. But this record for me, like, in fact, this is the record that probably got me into metal. Like that made me realize that like I like how much I love it. I bought those Hellfest DVDs when I was a kid, and like I forgot who I bought. I probably bought it for like From Autumn to Ashes or some stupid ass shit, or like Lamb of God or Hatebreed or something, right? And Every Time I Die comes on it, and they have it billed as
The Logic of the Crocodile.
but it's Jimmy Tango's Method, right? And I remember watching that performance, and like you could see Carl Severson from Nora, and like the dudes from Bleeding Through, and a bunch of people from other bands stage diving, and Jordan stage diving, and so is Keith. And I think that was the video. Watching that was what made me be like, I think this is my thing. When I was probably like 12 years old or whatever, I was like, I think this is what I want to do. I think I want to go to these types of shows and like jump on people. I think this looks like a lot of fun.
No, those Hellfest DVDs definitely made it look fun as shit. And I know exactly what you're talking about during that breakdown in Jimmy Tango Method when everybody just at one time. Those Hellfest DVDs were so fucking awesome. I hear they're trying to bring it back to New Jersey.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's one of those things. I did go to I got suckered into the first Furnace Fest because like DVDs. I had that when I was a kid, and when they brought that back, I was like, man, I really want to see that. So I went to the first one. If they do a cash grab Hellfest, I'll probably be there. Honestly, if they want to invite my band, that'd be even better. But if not, I'll still probably be there. And dude, what's funny is now I'm thinking about it. Me being 12 years old, watching a bunch of people dive onto each other and being like, "Hey, this is probably something I want to do." Probably ties into how we keep making jokes about wrestling, and then also the fact that this guy and the guitar player of this band is a pro wrestler now.
Yeah.
Did you watch that him and Gabe Kidd the other night, man? Bro, dude, that was the best match Andy Williams ever had in his career, in my opinion. They beat the shit out of each other. He left a fucking handprint on Gabe Kidd's fucking chest, and like because it's Andy, you know how big that handprint is. Woo! It was nasty, brother. It was great. I'm not sure how long you guys want to do this, so
We're gonna do a couple more here.
Okay, cool. I'll do some more. I'll do some interesting stuff here then. I don't know if you guys like Glassjaw. You guys like Glassjaw?
We both in stereo. Ah.
No. I saw them open for Deftones during the White Pony tour, and then wasn't really feeling the first thing that they did, and then the next thing was oh man, Tip Your Bartender, all that.
Yeah,
you know, Worship and Tribute, yeah. And I really like that record. That record was fucking cool as shit. Or that CD. It's on vinyl now. But like I met those dudes, I met that guy, I met Daryl. Look, I'm not he had a bunch of yes men with him that night. They were fans who were just kissing his ass, and I just was like getting some autographs for some friends. But you
It's
know,
funny. It's funny that you mentioned the White Pony tour, because I feel like I growing up before, like, you know, the internet was a thing. Like, well, not before the internet was a thing, but before I was chronically online. I used to always make the joke that I felt like Glassjaw was just like tight pants Deftones. Like, you know, they were the emo Deftones in my mind. But yeah, I can see where a lot of people wouldn't like them. I didn't like them at first. But this record's pretty cool because like it's a one of one in a way. Like, I forgot how many they did, but it's unfucking listenable. You can't fucking listen to it. It's like one song is like this thing, one song is this thing, and then like the other one is the actual 7-inch in the middle. And so it's a full EP, but like I don't know how like you're supposed to be able to sit it down and like, you know, let it play from one to one. So it's a cool novelty, I guess. But
What the fuck?
yeah, it's very interesting.
you've never seen this before, Jeff?
And they literally did one like different colors, so there was like colorways for every single one. So if you have one, it's literally a one of one.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's rad. That's pretty cool. Like, yeah, I've never seen that.
I know you and Josh, you and I have had conversations about that pressing in the past, but like, I think you've told me a lot of fans were pretty pissed off with how it turned out, and that's a shame because that's a really cool idea if you could make it work.
Yeah, I'd had an experience with stuff like that before because we're of the age of like the little mini discs, you know what I mean? Like the little CDs that used to get that like, you can fucking listen to on anything except for top loading ones. And so I just logistically was like, how is it going, the needle going to the pop from one to the next? So I kind of expected that, but you know, it is a bummer nonetheless. Yeah. On the subject of like a Hall & Oates style band, this is like a modern band. They actually do a Deftones cover too. There's this band called Bad Rabbits. Yeah, it's really cool because it's like gold. It's like actual glitter. Like this is a single for a song they have called "You Can't Fool Me." Here's the actual vinyl. Here's the 7-inch.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're really interesting. They're kind of like, man, they're kind of like neo soul and like funk mixed together. They got some really cool bass lines. What's funny is in the music video for this song, "You Can't Fool Me," I think it is. The singer is wearing one of those, like, he's wearing a Glassjaw jacket. They're also in a band called Ire Press, which is like a post metal band, just without the vocals. It looks like this was 167 of 255. But yeah, this is also a very interesting band as far as like songwriting and stuff. And they do some Deftones and some like Smashing Pumpkins and some just different covers that I might send you guys just on like social media later on. But you might dig it. It's kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
that cover art is very arousing,
dude. Yeah,
I was almost fooled.
Let's do one more because I didn't realize how much time we were on the recording here.
Oh yeah, we're deep here, brother. Okay, I'm gonna do another bullshit one, and just this is more conceptual than anything important because I think more bands should do this. This is the Rancid NoFX split that they did in like 2001, maybe 2000. I don't know. I bought this on CD when I was a little kid, like a little skate punk kid, and this is how I learned splits exist. Actually, was this record or the CD when I was a kid? Like I didn't know that two bands would play on the same CD. And what was super cool about this one is it was Rancid covering NoFX songs and NoFX covering Rancid songs. And
Awesome.
I would love to see this idea more in modern music, where you have two bands that are either similar or slightly different from each other, doing a split with each other and covering each other's songs, or at the very least, like I've had this idea with Yatsu. Like if we ever do a split with like a screamo band, I want to do like our version of like how we interpret a screamo song or two. You know what I mean? And kind of like, and that way you can get some like interesting. It'd be more interesting for the listener, right? And it'd be cooler for the band to kind of experiment with different sounds. And again, it goes back. I think a lot of modern music is lacking in cool shit like that. And I think we as bands, we need to bring more stuff like that back.
I've actually had that idea. I always said if I won the lottery and started a record label, I'd try to get two bands to like do a split where they just cover each other's songs. That's like a great idea, actually.
Yeah, it really is. It's super cool. And then because as you guys know, we're in the metal and hardcore scene where a lot of those guys like cross-pollinate into different genres, or there's like a lot of guys who are in popular bands who came from like that scene, right? So like there's no reason why even I don't like Fall Out Boy, but there's no reason why a Fall Out Boy dudes who were in what Homewrecker, Race Trader, Patrick or whatever his name is, did vocals on the Weekend Nachos record. There's no reason why a Fall Out Boy couldn't put out a split with another band that may like Fall Out Boy. That's like a hardcore adjacent band, and then like they, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Good
Well,
idea.
yeah. Well, Josh, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to come and join us. This was a very fun episode. There was some awesome stuff on this one. Wasn't expecting Usher. That's cool.
I also was not expecting Usher. I was not expecting to remember Bone Thugs lyrics that I haven't heard since 1994. But here we are. The wrestling shit between you two, I just kind of sat back and I love them do their thing. It's cute.
I feel like you wore the Yeet shirt for me.
I did. I pulled it out.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but I figured it had something to do with this.
Neither does Jay Uso, but he says it anyway. So, you're good.
He's all the way up there. Well, thank you very much again, and thanks to everybody for watching. We will see you all next week.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Have a nice night.
See ya.
Final thing, you're my life.